Hello, you're listening to Storytelling Saga, the podcast that shares stories. I'm your host, Allie, and this week, do you trust me? Because I'm discussing my all-time favorite Disney movie, Aladdin. I used to watch this movie over and over and over as a little kid. I would tell my parents 10 again, which meant I wanted to rewatch Aladdin, so we would rewind the tape and I'd watch it again. And I still have the old VHS tape, but the cover for it is completely bare, and that's because years ago I had torn off the cover. And you'd think I would have been more careful with my all-time favorite Disney movie, but I think what had happened was that the plastic around it had been peeling off. So then I was just pulling at it because I was curious, like, oh, what's this? And then I had just taken off the sleeve with the whole image on it. So then it was just a bare tape, which I guess makes it more special in a way, just having this blank cover, but knowing that, oh, that's Aladdin. And as you probably already know, Aladdin was part of the Disney Renaissance era, which started in 1989 with the film Little Mermaid, and was all throughout the 90s, up until Tarzan, which was released in 1999. So this movie was the fourth movie produced during that Renaissance era. It premiered in 1992. And it was Disney's 31st animated feature film overall. And it just has such a special place in my heart. I once asked my mom how many times did she think realistically that I had watched Aladdin over the course of my childhood. And she gave it some thought and she said, oh gosh, maybe at least 200. So I take her word for it. But she said, though, I wouldn't just watch it all the way through. We put on the movie, I'd watch it for a bit, and then I'd get up and go play, and then I'd come back and watch it some more. So it wasn't like I was just sitting all day watching Aladdin over and over. And of course, there is the live-action adaptation that Disney has been doing with all of their classic animated films. With this one specifically, I genuinely have no intention of seeing it. I honestly don't. I mean, literally nothing about it compels me to want to go see it. I just, frankly, will just stick with the animated version. That said, the musical adaptation on Broadway is absolutely amazing. I loved it so much. I've seen it twice, and I will get into that for a bit. But let's go ahead and jump into the movie, which of course opens with Arabian Nights. And right off the bat, a personal memory about this, with the smoke at the beginning, I used to say that was I'd be like, hot drink. Like, I thought it reminded me of a hot drink, I guess, like tea or coffee, just steam from a mug, so it reminded me of that. But an interesting thing about the song Arabian Nights, you may already know this, the lyric, when he says, where it's flat and immense and the heat is intense, it's barbaric, but hey, it's home. That is not, in fact, the original lyric. The original lyric is, where they cut off your ear if they don't like your face, it's barbaric, but hey, it's home. Which makes more sense for that lyric, but they had changed it because evidently it wasn't exactly age appropriate for little kids. And then we meet that peddler guy riding on his camel to Agrabah, and we see the palace. And of course, that peddler character is played by the late, great Robin Williams. And when Robin Williams passed away, that was one of the first things I thought of. I just thought of the genie and how iconic his portrayal is. And I know they had purposely sought Robin Williams to play the genie, and to recruit him, the animators had actually animated the genie using his stand-up routine, and that had made him laugh, and it had helped to get him on board to voice the genie. But with this peddler character, another funny thing is that when he's talking about all his products and stuff, they apparently just had Robin Williams improvising all of that, just picking up products and just saying all this stuff, like when he says, it will not break, it broke, just something actually breaking, which is funny. And then, of course, when he pulls out the lamp and he says, do not be fooled by its commonplace appearance. Like so many things, it's not what's outside, but what is inside that counts. And then he pours the stars into his hand as if it's sand and throws them into the sky. I love that. And it's interesting, too, to think about that. He's telling us this story. So this all took place, apparently, a long, long time ago, and he's just telling us this story. So it's a cool framing device. And of course we meet the villain, Jafar, played by Jonathan Freeman, and his glorious animal sidekick, Iago, played by Gilbert Gottfried. And Gilbert Gottfried, by the way, you probably already know this too, or maybe you don't, I don't know. I didn't know this until a few years ago, but that isn't, in fact, his real voice. It's his stage voice. His real voice, you could look up videos probably and hear his real voice. It's just much more subdued. I mean, it's just the perfect voice for this obnoxious parrot. Iago is so funny. Oh my gosh. Just when he's squawking like, "Ah, the lamp! Ah, the lamp!" Jeez, where'd you dig this bozo up? Oh my gosh, I feel like I mean, if I just tried to quote this entire movie verbatim, would you find that entertaining? I mean, I'm tempted to. I'm not going to, but oh my gosh, I just love this movie so much. But we're introduced to the Cave of Wonders and how Jafar is just using this guy, Gazim, to go in there. And then when he steps in there, he just gets killed, basically, because the cave just collapses on him because he's not the diamond in the rough. And then, of course, our diamond in the rough is, in fact, none other than Aladdin, played by Scott Weinger. And what's funny about that, Scott Weinger, is so I remember watching Full House years and years ago, and then at one point my mom just saying, "That's Aladdin's voice." And I was just so genuinely taken aback by that, like, what? Really? And then as I listened to it, I had never realized that until she pointed it out. I was like, oh my gosh, it is Aladdin's voice. So he does a great job as Aladdin. And when we're introduced to Aladdin, his first line, "All this for a loaf of bread?" When he's just stealing the loaf of bread because he's a street rat. He's got to get by somehow. And then that woman saying, "Getting into trouble early today, aren't we, Aladdin?" And he's saying, "Nah, you're only in trouble if you get caught." And then, of course, he gets caught. "I'm in trouble." And then, of course, we got the classic "one jump ahead." "I steal only when I can't afford. That's everything." And Aladdin's singing voice is performed by Brad Kane. And he does a great job. It's just, he doesn't really sound like Aladdin speaking. That doesn't really matter, though. And then there's that part, too, when he just ends up in a brothel. Oh, my gosh. And that woman saying, "I blame parents, except he hasn't got them." In earlier drafts of this movie, Aladdin was younger, and he had a mother. And there was a song that was cut, but is used in the Broadway musical called "Proud of Your Boy." The composer for all these songs, of course, by the way, is Alan Menken, which I've mentioned him when I discussed Newsies. He's the composer for many, many Disney films. And the lyrics are done by, for a lot of these songs, Tim Rice and Howard Ashman. And in the Broadway musical, so I've seen it twice, and I first saw it back in 2014 with the original cast. And Aladdin was played by Adam Jacobs. He did such an excellent job. Jasmine was played by Courtney Reed. And what was really fun was that Jafar was still played by Jonathan Freeman, so he just reprised the role, still doing that iconic voice. And they didn't have Abu, but they had friends for Aladdin, Babcock, Kasim, and Omar. And then for Iago, it was a human instead of a parrot. And Genie, though, in the musical adaptation, he steals the show, played by, in the original Broadway cast, James Monroe Eagleheart. He's excellent. But I'm already deviating. Back to the movie. After Aladdin outruns the guards, and then when he tears the bread in half for him and Abu to eat. Oh, Abu, by the way, is played by Frank Welker, which I didn't even realize this until just recently. I'd never realized that. But he is the original voice of Fred from the Scooby-Doo franchise since 1969. He's still voicing Fred. And he's also, in Aladdin, he's also the voice of the Cave of Wonders and Raja, the tiger. But this part when Aladdin is going to eat the bread, and then he stops and he sees the two little kids, the brother and sister, scrounging around for food. And then Aladdin, with his kind-hearted nature, despite his own hunger, he just gives the bread to the little girl. And then what's I find cute, too, is that the little girl then gives the bread to her brother, and she's just eating a small piece herself. And then, of course, Abu, he takes a bite first, just being petulant and stubborn, but then he feels bad, and then he gives the bread to the little girl. And then, of course, we see one of those snobby guys on his horse riding up to go meet the princess. And then Aladdin saying, hey, if I were as rich as you, I could afford some manners. And he just says, you were born a street rat, you'll die a street rat, and only your fleas will mourn you. And Aladdin says, I'm not worthless, and I don't have fleas. Come on, Abu, let's go home. And then he's, of course, staring at the palace. He took Abu into bed, which is so cute. I have to just mention that. Adorable. And then he's just staring longingly at the palace and saying how things are going to change and they'll be rich and live in a palace and not have any problems. And then in the musical, then that's when Aladdin sings about how he wants to make his mom proud. And then we meet Princess Jasmine, of course, played by Linda Larkin. And then her father, the Sultan, played by Douglas Seal, who passed away back in 1999. And she talks about how she hates being forced into marriage. And apparently she's 15, going on 6. Like, you have to be married that young, jeez. But I love the symbolism. After the Sultan leaves, then she opens up the cage and all the birds fly away, like symbolizing that freedom. And then there's a funny line from the Sultan where he's just, basically, it's a dig at himself when he's saying her mother wasn't nearly so picky. Oh gosh. And then we find out that Jafar works for the Sultan. He is the royal vizier. And he just keeps shoving crackers into Iago's mouth. And Jafar says, Your Majesty certainly has a way with dumb animals. And then when they leave, after he takes the Sultan's ring, he just so easily manipulates the Sultan, but also he uses his scepter snake thing that he carries around to hypnotize him, to take his ring so he can find out how he can get this diamond in the rough, who is of course Aladdin. And then Jasmine decides to run away, and poor Raja, I think Raja is an underrated animal sidekick, because of course we got Iago, he's hilarious, we got Abu. You know what, it's interesting to think, how did all these animals come into the lives of their human counterparts? I wonder if Aladdin maybe just found Abu, maybe just wandering around scrounging for food too. Like, how did Iago and Jafar become villains together? It's interesting to think about. But when Jasmine decides to leave because she isn't happy with being a princess, with everything being decided for her, and she says, I'm sorry, Raja, but I can't stay here and have my life lived for me. I'll miss you. That's so cute. And then Sanj gives him a hug, and then he just helps her leave. I mean, Raja is very docile for a tiger. Jeez. He really acts more like a cat, more of a domestic cat than a wild tiger. And then the next morning in Agrabah, when Abu steals the melon, and then Aladdin saying breakfast is served. And then, of course, when he sees Jasmine, the classic love at first sight moment in many Disney films. And then when she gives the apple to the little kid, and the guy's going to cut off her wrist because she doesn't know. She's just experiencing the outside world for the first time in her life, evidently. And then Aladdin just swoops in to save her. He's saying, oh, thank you, kind sir. I'm glad you found her. He's saying, you know this girl? Sadly, yes, she is my sister. She's a little crazy. It's like she said she knows the Sultan. She thinks the monkey is the Sultan. Come on, sis, time to go to the doctor. Why, hello, doctor. How are you? No, not that one. And then there's just the whole nice sequence with the two of them getting to know each other. And the scene is just so beautiful with the sunset, the pinks and purples and oranges, just such beautiful scenery. And then he hands Jasmine an apple, and then he bites into one, and he just gives it to Abu, and Abu's angry, like, why you? And Aladdin and Jasmine basically find kinship in one another, with Aladdin wanting a better life, fantasizing about living in the palace, with Jasmine wanting to escape that life, saying, oh, people will tell you where to go and how to dress. I feel so, you're just trapped. And then when Abu gets kind of annoyed, and then Aladdin saying, oh, Abu says that's not fair, and Jasmine saying, oh, did he? And does Abu have anything else to say? And Aladdin says he wishes there was something he could do to help, and she says, tell them that's really sweet, and they almost kiss right there. So with this scene in the musical, there's a nice song, A Million Miles Away. My favorite lyric in that song is, when you choose to lose yourself, who knows what you might find. But then in the movie, so when they're about to kiss, then of course the guards show up and they're saying, they're after me, they're after you. And then we get the first, do you trust me? And she just says yes, and they jump. And then she reveals that she is the princess. And then she goes to Jafar, and he's saying, oh, well, his sentencing has already been carried out. So Jasmine thinks that he died. So that's so tragic. And then she's crying, and Raja is comforting her. And she's saying, it's all my fault, Raja. I didn't even know his name. And Raja puts his big paw around her. Aww. But then Aladdin is just in that dungeon. He's saying, oh, I must have sounded so stupid to her. Just beating himself up. And then Abu just comes down to save him. And what's cute, he's like, ta-da! And then Aladdin's just kind of talking to himself, and he's rubbing his wrist, and he's saying, I'm a fool. And then Abu just gets upset, like, hey, like, I just saved you, and you don't even seem to care. And then there is that guy that, of course, turns out to be Jafar, and he's saying, you're only a fool if you give up, boy. So then he lures Aladdin to follow him, saying, oh, we'll help each other out. The audience only knows that it's Jafar when you just see Iago pop out saying, Jafar, can you hurry it up? I'm dying in here. But then when Aladdin goes into the Cave of Wonders, and then that's when we meet the magic carpet. And it's CGI, the carpet. And it's cute that the carpet, it's just an object, but it has a personality. It's like plays around wearing Abu's little fez hat, and then it gets all sad when Abu flips out on him. He slumps down, slinks away, and he's like, oh wait, maybe you can help us. And he just does like that heroic thing. I mean, Aladdin calls it a he, so I just assume the carpet's a he. This very cute magic carpet. And then, of course, when Aladdin goes up the steps to retrieve the lamp, and then, of course, Abu, when he sees that gem, he just can't help himself. He runs up and grabs it. I mean, he, like, licks his lips, thinking it's candy or something? I don't know. Or just he's so mesmerized by it. When you see the carpet, like, freak out to try to stop him, but then he grabs it, and that's it. Infidels, you have touched the forbidden treasure. You will never again see the light of day. And it just melts. Oh my gosh. And there's that whole sequence with the lava, them trying to escape. And that just reminds me of the level with the lava in the Aladdin video game for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, SNES, Super Nintendo, the Super Nintendo. Anyway, the whole scene with the lava saying, Abu, this is no time to panic. Start panicking. And then they get all the way up there, and he's saying how he can't hold on. Give me your hand. He's saying, first, give me the lamp. So he gives him the lamp. I mean, gosh, Aladdin really is keeping his word, not knowing this guy is just pure evil, just using him to get the lamp, because he's the diamond in the rough. That reminds me, too, in the musical, there's a song, Diamond in the Rough, with Jafar and Iago singing. But then, when Aladdin wakes up, and he's saying, oh, we're trapped, that two-faced son of a jackal, well, whoever he was, he's long gone with that lamp, and then Abu just has that mischievous little look, and then he pulls out the lamp, and then he rubs the lamp. Then we're introduced to the glorious genie. 10,000 years will give you such a crick in the neck. And of course he does so many impressions, just to name a few. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Ed Sullivan, Groucho Marx, Robert De Niro, Carol Channing, Arsenio Hall, Rodney Dangerfield, Jack Nicholson's another one. So just to name a few. And then, of course, Friend Like Me. And in the musical, this is the longest number. It's about 8 minutes long. It's an absolute showstopper. It's incredible. Also, a fun fact about this whole song, that you may already know this too, but this was one of the first scenes they had animated. So for some of the shots, since it was earlier in production, Aladdin is in fact the younger version of the character that they had originally had been drawing him as. So because it was too expensive to go back and animate it, they just left the shots in like that. So it's one of those things where you don't really notice unless you're actually looking for it, but in some of the shots, Aladdin just looks inexplicably younger, and that's the reason why. And he explains that there are some provisos, that he can't kill anybody, he can't make anybody fall in love with anybody else, and he can't bring people back from the dead. It's not a pretty picture. I don't like doing it! And then Aladdin has that sly look, and Abu looks at him, they just share a look, and then Abu just gives him a thumbs up. He's saying, oh, provisos, you mean like limitations on wishes? Some all-powerful genie, he can't even bring people back from the dead. He probably can't even get us out of this cave. Excuse me? Did you rub my lamp? Did you wake me up? Did you bring me here? And all of a sudden you're walking out on me? I don't think so. Not right now. You're getting your wishes. Now sit down. So he just tricks the genie into flying them out of the cave. So that was sneaky. And then Genie has that moment where he's like, and then, like his jaw drops, like, all right, you bad boy, but no more freebies. The little sheep. And then Aladdin asks him, what would you wish for? And Genie gets small. He's saying, me? No one's ever asked me that before. And he's saying that he would wish for freedom. He's saying it's all part of the Genie gig. Phenomenal cosmic powers. Itty bitty living space. So then Aladdin makes a deal saying, no, I mean it. After I make my first 2 wishes, I'll use my third one to set you free. And he says, well, here's hoping. So they shake hands. And he's saying, well, what would you want to wish for? And he's saying, well, there's this girl. She's smart and fun. And well, Genie says, pretty, beautiful. She's got these eyes and this hair. Wow. And her smile, that little wow is so cute. He just like melts. So adorable. Little smitten Aladdin. So then he's saying, oh, can you make me a prince? That's Aladdin's first official wish. Genie, I wish for you to make me a prince. And then he makes Abu an elephant. What's funny though with Abu as an elephant is that he still has the monkey tail. The long tail. So that's cute. And that's the point in the musical where it's an act break. And then when it comes back, it is the song Prince Ali. But then Jafar is trying to trick the Sultan, hypnotize him, saying, oh, the princess will marry me so then he can become Sultan. Because that's Iago's brilliant plan. And it's that part, well, I will order the princess too, but you're so old. Like, oh gosh. And then he just breaks out of the trance when he hears the music, and we get the song Prince Ali. It's a great song. I love that one too. And there's that ironic line from the Sultan when he says, one thing I pride myself on, Jafar, I'm an excellent judge of character. And there's that great line too when the Sultan says, oh, this is Jafar, my royal vizier. He's happy too. Ecstatic. That deadpan. I love that. So funny. And then Aladdin goes up to the balcony to talk to Jasmine. And Jasmine's getting the hints that something is familiar about this alleged Prince Ali. And she's saying, you remind me of someone I met in the marketplace. And then Genie is buzzing around near his head as a bumblebee, saying, enough about you, talk about her, the hair, the eyes, anything, pick a feature. Jasmine saying, oh, go jump off a balcony, and Aladdin apologizes, saying, you aren't just some prize to be won, you should be free to make your own choice. And then when he goes to step off the balcony, she's like, oh, wait! And he's like, what? Saying, oh, how are you doing that? It's a magic carpet, it's lovely. And the magic carpet kisses her hand. And Aladdin saying, you don't want to go for a ride, do you? We could get out of the palace, see the world. Is it safe? Sure. Do you trust me? What? Do you trust me? Yes. So she's already getting the hints that this is definitely that kid from the marketplace. And then, of course, the incredible, iconic, lovely, beautiful song, A Whole New World. I absolutely adore this song. Jasmine singing voice done by Leah Salonga. And she and Brad Kane, they had reunited a couple years ago and performed the song live. So it was back in 2017 when the movie was 25 years old. And she's also the singing voice for Mulan. And then, oh my gosh, so the part toward the end of the song when Aladdin takes the apple and tosses it to her, and then Jasmine's kind of smiling as if in that moment then it clicks for her, like, oh, this is the same boy I met at the marketplace. I'm gonna be honest, I never picked up on that until recently, until maybe a few years ago. I was like, oh wait, that's why she's smiling like that, like, oh, now she knows for sure that that's him. And then when they hold hands and the magic carpet's little tassels swinging back and forth in the water, making the ripples, it's so beautiful. Then it dissolves with the fireworks, and Jasmine saying it's all so magical. It's a shame Abu had to miss this. Nah, he hates fireworks. Just like that, she catches Aladdin saying, oh, you are that boy from the marketplace. I knew it. Did you think I was stupid, that I wouldn't figure it out? Except, wouldn't she be more like, oh my god, you're alive? You know, like she thought he freaking died. So you think she would have had more of a reaction of genuine, oh my god, thank god you're alive, whatever. But then he's still lying, saying, oh, the truth is I sometimes dress as a commoner to escape palace life, but I really am a prince. She's saying, why didn't you just tell me? Well, you know, royalty going out into the city in disguise, it sounds a little strange, don't you think? Not that strange. And she rests her head on his shoulder. And then the magic carpet, when they go back to the palace, and then it becomes stairs to help Jasmine down. So cute. And they're just inching towards each other, and then the magic carpet just lifts Aladdin up, and they kiss. So the magic carpet's a wingman, just helping Aladdin out. It's cute. With this high, just for the first time in my life, things are starting to go right. Then just all comes crashing down when the guards seize him. They kidnap him. Poor Abu is tied up. And then they just throw him into the freaking ocean. So again, Aladdin would have freaking died. Had not conveniently, his hat fell off and then his hands tied together, touching the lamp. And then Genie comes out saying, never fails. You get in the bath and there's a rub of the lamp. He's like, oh, Al, you can't cheat on this one. You have to say, Genie, I want you to save my life. I'll take that as a yes. And then when he saves Aladdin, and then he says, don't you scare me like that. And Aladdin's like, oh, Genie, and he's just kind of timid a little, and like doesn't know what to say. And then Genie's smiling like, oh, I know. He's like, oh, thanks, Genie. And they hug, and it's just so sweet. Like, Genie must feel like a pillow or a cloud, like just giving Genie a hug. Anyway, then he says, oh, wow, I'm getting kind of fond of you, kid. Not that I want to pick out curtains or anything. Never noticed that line as a kid. That's funny. And then when Jasmine is humming A Whole New World to herself and she's brushing her hair, and then the Sultan is hypnotizing, oh, you will wed Jafar. But then Aladdin comes back. She's like, oh, Prince Ali. He breaks the scepter. And then Jafar sees the lamp, and then he starts laughing hysterically. And then when Iago's saying, oh, we gotta get out of here, it's like, how do you like this picture of me? I thought I'd make a weird face. And then when Jafar's laughing, he's like, oh boy, he's cracked. He's gone nuts. Jafar, get a grip. And then Jafar grabs him. He's saying, good grip. And then he's saying how Prince Ali is nothing more than that wretched urchin Aladdin. It's poor Iago has to do Jafar's dirty work. Aladdin's upset, saying, well, they want to make me Sultan. No, they want to make Prince Ali Sultan. And he's guilty, knowing that he's living a lie, being something he's not, but he can't do this without Genie. And then he's saying he can't set Genie free. And then Genie says, fine, I understand. After all, you've lied to everyone else. I was beginning to feel left out. And he goes back in the lamp, and then he just blows a raspberry, saying, oh, well, fine, stay in there. You just see his tongue, and he just puts the pillow. And then we hear Jasmine, and then it turns out it's just Iago doing the voice. He's great at changing his voice, Iago. Oh, another quick thing, though, before that, when Genie's saying, your line is, I'm going to free the Genie anytime. And he just has a script, Aladdin's script in his hand. That's a cute little joke, too. So then when Iago does that Jasmine voice, one of my favorite Iago lines, when he's dressed up as the flamingo, and the flamingo's just looking at Iago panting. And then Iago just says, you got a problem, Pinky, jerk. He just slaps down the flamingo. He steals the lamp. And then he's doing Jafar's voice saying, excellent work, Iago. Really, go on. Really, on a scale of 1 to 10, you are an 11. Oh, Jafar, you're too kind. I'm embarrassed. I'm blushing. And then when Jafar rubs the lamp and Genie's still angry, saying, Al, I'm getting really, I don't think you're him. Tonight, the part of Al will be played by a dark, sinister, ugly man. Oh, gosh. And then Genie makes his first wish to be Sultan. And then there's that whole part where he turns Raja into a little cub, and that's so cute, though. And then he forces everyone to bow down to him. And then he reveals that Prince Ali is just Aladdin, saying, say hello to your precious Prince Ali. He has this little song. He's supposed to have his own song, apparently, but that was cut as well. But then he just blasts Aladdin to the snowstorm place, and then Aladdin digs Abu out of the snow. Oh, poor Abu. He's like, Abu, are you okay? I'm like, Abu's so little, and he wraps him up in his little vest. So Aladdin must be freezing too, but he saves Abu, of course. And then he steps on magic carpet. Magic carpet's frozen. Then Jafar's second wish is that he wants to be the most powerful sorcerer in the world. And then his third wish is for Jasmine to fall desperately in love with him, and then he's trying to say, well, I can't do that. But then when Aladdin goes back to save her, then she decides to just play along, saying, oh, Jafar, I never knew how handsome you are. And then when Genie sees Aladdin, he's saying, oh, hey, Al, little buddy. And then he just like zips him up, zips his lips like an actual zipper. Hey, I'm a street rat, remember? I'll improvise. And then there's that part where Jasmine kisses Jafar just to distract him. Aladdin's expression, his facial expression, just sums it up. Just that dumbstruck disgust, that sums it up perfectly. And then when he sees Aladdin in the reflection of Jasmine's crown that she's wearing, he's like, how many times do I have to kill you, boy? And then he puts Jasmine in the hourglass, turns Abu into a toy monkey, turns the magic carpet into, like, saying all these puns, like, oh, unraveling, all that. And then he's saying, oh, you're a cowardly snake, and then I'll show you how snake-like I can be. And that part always creeped me out as a kid when he turns into a snake. Oh my gosh, so creepy. And then when Aladdin outsmarts him, saying, oh, the genie, he has more power than you'll ever have. And then he makes his third wish to be an all-powerful genie. And then Aladdin's ingenuity, it works out perfectly. He's saying, oh, you want to be a genie? You got it. And everything that goes with it. Phenomenal cosmic powers, itty-bitty living space. And then Genie just hits the lamp into the desert. Jasmine's saying, oh, that stupid law, this isn't fair. I love you. Oh, it's so cute. He's saying, I love you too, but I can't keep pretending to be something I'm not. She's saying, I understand. And then first Genie's saying, Al, no problem. You still got one wish left. He's saying, oh, but Genie, your freedom. And Genie says, hey, it's only an eternity of servitude. Al, you're not going to find another girl like her in a million years. Believe me, I've looked. But then Aladdin says, Genie, I wish for your freedom. When his shackles come off, he's saying, quick, wish for something outrageous. Say, I want the Nile. I want the Nile. No way! And then he's like, I'm gonna go see the world, and then he just stops, and then Aladdin's like kind of looking like sad, and he like runs his hands through his hair. He's saying, Genie, I'm gonna miss you. And then Genie getting misty-eyed saying, me too, Al. No matter what anybody says, you'll always be a prince to me. Oh my god, I'm getting emotional thinking about it. So I'll admit, I just full on teared up with that. I never did as a little kid, but I guess now because of the nostalgia, and I guess with Robin Williams, but it's just, to me, it's so touching and sweet. And they really grow to have like a lovely friendship. Like, as much as it's a romance and everything with Aladdin and Jasmine, it's also very much a movie about friendship too. It's just the relationship between Aladdin and Genie, and it's just so sweet. But it all works out. Genie comes back in the sequel, and they reunite and everything, so it's really nice. And then the Sultan's saying, am I a sultan or am I sultan? From this day forward, the princess shall marry whoever she deems worthy. Him, I choose you, Aladdin. And he's just like, call me Al. And then when Genie says, big group hug, mind if I kiss the monkey? He's got his little goofy hat on. He kisses Abu. He's like, oh, hairball, I'm out of here. I don't care what I am. I'm free. And then when they're on the magic carpet again, saying, a whole new world, a whole new life for you and me. And they kiss and they fly off. And then you see the moon. And then Genie, haha, made you look. Oh my goodness. Oh, I love this movie so much. It's timeless story. I love the characters. As I said, I love Aladdin. He's my favorite, still is. Like, my favorite then and my favorite now. Iago, though, I love him more now. He's just so funny. Of course, gotta love the Genie, Jasmine. Jafar is such a great villain. He's so funny. I love Aladdin. Love the movie so much. You ain't never had a friend like me. And with that, that's going to conclude this week's episode of Storytelling Saga. You can follow the podcast on Facebook and Instagram at Storytelling Saga, as well as on Twitter at Storytell Saga. You can also send me any questions, comments, or writing prompts by leaving me a message in the contact section of storytellingsaga.com or by sending me an email at storytellingsaga@gmail.com. Next week, remember, pants equals love. Love your pals. Love yourself. I'll be discussing the sisterhood of the traveling pants. Until then, thank you for listening, and remember, write what you love.